Reading comprehension. Reading comprehension is part of the topics contained in English syllabus under the UTME, and you'll be tested on various aspects of reading comprehension. And when I say different aspects of reading comprehension, I mean questions that range from passage reading, and the passage reading is divided into several parts. We have the aspects wherein you have guided questions based on a particular passage, and then you would have to read and understand the passage in order to answer the question. Another part of the reading comprehension section deals with vocabulary development, and under this you would have a passage where some items will be missing, and then options will be provided for you to choose the appropriate word that will suit into the spaces that are provided. And under this, questions often come out on registers of certain professions, certain fields of study, and so on. So for instance, you can have registers of nursing in a passage. So whatever option you are picking as a final answer should relate to nursing. So in essence, we are saying we could have a passage based on vocabulary development. So these are the two main types of questions under reading comprehension in the UTME questions. So we are dealing with passage reading and the vocabulary aspect under reading comprehension. To start with, we would go in descending order. We are starting with the 2017 UTME use of English questions, and that was conducted through the CBT, which is a computer-based test. The first question, the instruction reads, read the passage carefully and answer the questions that follow. You should always bear in mind that whenever you have a passage to read and answer questions on, the first thing you are supposed to do is to go through the questions, read the questions and memorize the questions. At times you may not be able to memorize everything, but at least understand and digest the questions. After digesting the question, go to the passage and then read the passage painstakingly to ensure that you grab the subject matter of the passage. After reading the passage, reread the passage again for the second time. The first time you could actually scan through to look for certain points or to grab the main point or the subject matter of the passage. So for the second time, when you're reading, you read at a very slow pace compared to the first time that you read it. So when you read at a slow pace for the second time, you'll be able to get some key points or messages of the passage which, from your understanding, you feel could be relevant to some questions which you have read under the passage. You should read the passage for the third time, and at this stage you should not be bored, because you really need to get down with the questions and the answers. So read the passage for the third time and look up answers to the already mastered questions. By this I mean the questions that you have mastered that or you have memorized when you started reading the passage. So read the passage for the third time and look up answers to the questions you have memorized. And this time around, the reading is quite faster than the previous one. You read it at a very fast pace because you have already you are already acquainted to the passage. And then the last stage should be answering the questions to the comprehension passage. And I should also remind you that you should not go outside what is provided in the comprehension passage. And sometimes you could have a very vast knowledge of what is discussed in the comprehension passage. This should not affect your answers, because what is discussed in certain comprehension passage might actually be different from your own prior knowledge. So you should base your answer on what is provided in the comprehension passage and not your own understanding of the passage. In some cases, you would have questions that require an underlined expression or a word written in italics with the nearest meaning, with the one in the option that has the nearest meaning, or the one that is synonymous to the underlined expression or the expression written in italics. So when you have such situation, you should ensure that you are using the most appropriate word to substitute the given word or phrase. When I say you should look for the most appropriate word, I mean you should look out for that word that best matches the underlined expression and the way it is used in the expression, the way it is used in the sentence or in the passage. Sometimes you could be provided with different words that would negate the class of the word that has been underlined in the expression. This is actually to test your ability to recognize the appropriate word, so you should be very sensitive in answering such questions because it could be confusing. You should also maintain the class of word, like I said the other time. Maintain the class of word you are substituting in the sentence or expression. If the word is an adverb, I mean if the expression that has been underlined is functioning as an adverb, then you should substitute it with another one in the option which also functions as an adverb. You should also ensure that all your answers are correctly spelled and grammatically related to one another. And lastly, do not give answers outside the given passage. Even when you are drawing inferences should be drawn based on what is stated in the passage and not outside what is stated in the passage. Now to the questions. Under 2017 UTM Use of English, we have two passages. We are going to start with the first passage, and the instruction reads: read the passage carefully and answer the questions that follow. Question 1. I believe everybody listening to this video has a copy of the past questions and answer scripts, the compilation of the past questions and answer scripts on Use of English under JAMB or UTM. So when you purchase this, you would have a list of questions. You have the old questions under Use of English from the onset of the examination, I mean from 1978 till date. So we are treating questions under 2017 down to 2010. So I'm beginning the question with 2017, and right now we are under question 1. The first question reads: the author means to suggest that Asians and Africans resort to more drinking when dash. Having gone through the passage, you notice that the passage is centered on the habit of drinking, the causes of drinking, and then the category of people who drink and the frequency or rate at which they drink. Now, the question again: the author means to suggest that Asians and Africans resort to more drinking when dash. Now, we have to go to the passage and look out for where the answer lies. The answer to this question is in the second paragraph. It is contained in the second paragraph and the second sentence of the second paragraph. And I read: rising incomes were identified to have triggered more drinking in Africa and Asia, while binge drinking is a problem in many developed countries. So we have been told here that rising in incomes were identified to have triggered more drinking in Africa and Asia. Now to the options. They are bereaved. The passage does not indicate that Africans and Asians drink when they are bereaved. Option B: there is improved living standard. Yes, this is actually what the passage states. when we talk about rising incomes, it has to do with increase in living standard. Option C, national income are at their lowest ebb. This is not true of the passage. The passage does not indicate that Africans and Asians resort to more drinking when their national income are at their lowest ebb. Option D, the weather is conducive. The passage doesn't talk about the relationship between the status of the weather and the habit of Africans and Asians in drinking. So our final answer is option B, which states that the author means to suggest that Asians and Africans resort to more drinking when there is improved living standard. Question 2. Which of the following is true according to the passage? Option A. Outbreak of tuberculosis is caused by alcohol abuse. The passage does not indicate that alcohol abuse results into tuberculosis. Option B. Most people in the world are oblivious of the harmful effect of alcohol abuse. Option C. The danger of alcohol abuse was highlighted in the developed countries. This is close to what we have in the passage. We will look at that when we finish with the last option. Option D. The abuse of alcohol can only be controlled in Africa and Asia. This is not also indicated in the passage, but option C is close to what we have in the passage. So we will look at what we